pick up the stream, and then we'll be ready to go. Come on, we can do it. All right, nearly there. Going live in just a minute. All right, cool. Hey, so, I like to share unboxings sometimes, and this is a subscription called HackerBoxes, which allows you to subscribe to a monthly kit that will give you a bunch of cool stuff for people who like to build electronics. Guess what? I like to build electronics! My name is Alex Glow, and I do this for Hackster.io, in case you're watching it on some random channel that I don't know about, because I'm not quite familiar with this service yet. So, alright, let's break out the little mini knife and go to town on this thing. So I actually peeked at the contents of this box, and I'm really excited because it features some wearable components, which I'm really looking forward to building some of these, actually for a talk I'm giving in a couple of weeks. So it's very timely. This should show up. Plus it comes with a sweet knit cap. Oh my god, check this out. Okay, I'm gonna be too warm in all of this, so let's get rid of the scarf. Try on the hat. How's this? Oh yeah. It's not bad. Okay. Moving on. We've got a bunch of heat shrink, which I love, and I can never find my ample amounts of heat shrink when I really need it, so that's great. I don't know about this. Let's, oh. Okay, there we go. That's pretty good, huh? Alright, so now that I really look like an actual gamer, we got some CR2032 coin cell batteries, great for wearables and other small things. We have something I'm actually really excited about. So I've been trying to find my AT-Tiny chip programming kit that I put together a while ago. I can't for the life of me figure out where it is. This, my friends, this is an AT-Tiny85 programming kit by DigiSpark, who make little USB connectable AT-Tiny boards. So, you know, I've got a ton of these. Usually what you'll do is plug the whole thing into your computer, and then, you know, there's a couple of pins, and they're very small, so you can easily reprogram them, much easier than the usual AT-Tiny workflow. And as you might know, you can program these with Arduino code, so you get a very small package to run your Arduino project if you port it to this platform. Plus, it's very cheap. However, with the DigiSpark platform, I've had issues before running bike lights off of these because they have some kind of a voltage regulator, which can get very hot. So this, to me, is the best of both worlds. If I understand correctly, this is just a little USB programmer that makes it extremely easy to program your individual AT-Tiny chips. Whoa! And what I had just been planning on building one of these as a full-blown Arduino shield, but look how beautiful. They've just made one! And that's so cool, because the AT-Tiny85 doesn't have that regulator built in, so in my experience running my bike lights off of it, that's 66 neopixels, which is a lot of current for a little board to handle, but the AT-Tinys handle it just fine. And you can run it off of 5 volts, and you can make a tiny little pigtail that just plugs into the 5 volt thing, and it's really easy. I'm just really stoked to have this, because I'd been wanting to build one, and now here it is. Even smaller. And, yeah, that's just fantastic. What else have we got here? There's a couple things that I didn't recognize. So what's this guy? This is some... They mentioned some kind of a thing called a rubber ducky, which I will look up after this, after we pull everything out of its packaging, and I'll tell you more about what it is. This guy... I think this is just a USB programmer guy. Yeah, but for what? It's got an Atmega 8A, which is one that I'm not totally familiar with, but that obviously probably has something to do with Arduino. Let's see. What's in the box? It's probably this USB ASP Atmel AVR USB programmer. Oh, cool! I've actually needed one of those as well. Cool. That's great. Although, you know, usually I would have thought that it would have 6 pins instead of 10. I'm not sure how exactly this works, so I'll have to check that out. maybe do a video on that in the future. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you can usually find our videos on YouTube or facebook.com/Hackster.io. Yeah, we got all kinds of cool like electronics projects and stuff for you to see. Next up, we got some jumper wires, female to female. That's pretty cool. Always useful, especially for connecting one board to a component. We got a sweet project box. This little tin thing. I'm gonna open that up in a second. Let's just... Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. There's this collectible card. Season's greetings! Flair Ware is the name of this pack. It's number 25, and here you see some SparkFun projects, including a NeoPixel board. The lily pad is their system of like little wearables, and this guy is looks like an @tiny USB board. What does it say on here? Yeah, Tiny 85 USB board. So that's another thing that works with the @tiny chip that I was telling you about. But like the original DigiSpark, this one has the @tiny just built into it. So that's kind of what the DigiSpark would normally be like. And you've got this array of sewable, solderable pins, and you can use like alligator clips on those as well really easily. So they're really good for prototyping. And also, as I said, you can use conductive thread to sew stuff onto them. You've got the pinout for the @tiny 85, super useful, especially if you're going to be using this guy. Ooh, let me just throw those headers anyway. To program your own @tiny 85 kit. Then you can, or project. Then you can use this when you take the chip out of the socket to as a guide for how to hook it up. And for when you're programming it too, I guess. You got a sweet vinyl decal, that's great. Skull with binary, fantastic. Party time? Cool little stickers. My other computer is your computer, very cute. Hello, my name is, and party time. I wonder if this goes with one of the other things. Let's check it out! What's in here? Oh my god, wonderful little components, including holders for coin cells, sockets for the @tiny 85. I actually just bought a huge rail of these in Shenzhen. Funny story, I was buying components for surface mount soldering and other projects, and I was like, you know, I can, get a bunch of these for, $5 on Amazon, or I could probably get them for pretty cheap here in the electronics market of the world. So, it's called Huaqiangbei. And it's this just like insane electronics wonderland. So I talked to this woman, and in my like broken Mandarin, I'm like, how much for these guys? And she says, well, how many do you want? And I'm like, 10? And she's like, okay, 4 kwai, which is like, maybe, I'm gonna get this wrong, but maybe like 80 cents, something like that. And I'm like, sure. Great, that's a great deal. And then, so this guy walks away and comes back after like, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and he's holding a whole rail of them, which is like, a meter long or something. And he just hands it to me, and I'm like, what? This is like 50 of them. I only asked for 10. And she's like, just get out of here. Like, they don't want to deal with people who only want like 5 or 10 or something. So they just gave me a whole rail. It was really cheap. It was great. So now I have one more. Fantastic. And there are some tiny chips in here as well. That's beautiful. Ooh, they're... This is interesting packaging, actually. Normally I would expect them to be like embedded in anti-electrostatic foam, or at least in some kind of like a little non-conductive bag or something, like these guys, but it's not. It's fine. There's also some little lapel pin backings, so these are conductive, of course. It's a great way to join circuits. And in here, also, ooh, I didn't know we got this. Cool. 2 coin cell holders, spot for an @tiny 85, some RGB LEDs. You can tell they're RGB because they have 4 legs. That means that they have, depending on whether they're common cathode or common anode, you gotta be careful with RGB LEDs. They could either have a common ground or a common positive leg, and then the other 3 legs are going to be red, green, and blue. So that's pretty cute. And then spots for these little guys. What are these? This looks like a transistor, maybe. What does it connect to? What's this other thing? I'm sure there's directions online, but I kind of just want to figure it out based on what we've got here. Got the tiny. We got some little tiny red LEDs, but I think they're for another project. Oh, there's probably a switch. Yeah, that's gonna be this guy. This 3 pad thingy is gonna be definitely a switch. And then what's the other thing? What would it be? Maybe it's an on-off indicator LED? Anyways, it goes from a coin cell to the other. Oh! Huh. So, there's also a couple of other little spots. They almost look like they're spots for jumpers. Because this seems to be connecting the batteries in series. As you can see with this, you've got, okay, so where does the switch go? The switch connects these 2 leads. And that guy goes to this battery. But the fact that you have, oh, can you put it in either way? That's weird. Do they go opposite? Well, I'll have to explore that. But you can see that, like, the, this would be the ground side of one coin cell battery is being connected to the positive side of the other coin cell battery, which implies to me that they're being hooked up in series. But at the same time, you've got this one going over to there, which makes just an endless battery loop. So it's got to be some kind of selectable thing, maybe. I'll figure it out and get back to y'all. Okay, cool. Anyway, that's great. I love assembling stuff. Then we also have this wearable star badge thingy. Oh, maybe one of those is like a connection for the backing? Yeah, anyway. So yeah, here we got another coin cell hookup. So these 2 are going to be the positive hookups for the battery. This is going to be the ground. Switch probably. Yeah, let's see. This one is much simpler. You've got, yeah, that looks like, is that just a power LED? Maybe it's a resistor. So either like a resistor or a power indication LED. Goes from power to ground. Huh. Or maybe a capacitor. Could be like a, yeah, it could be like a blinky thing. Anyway, okay, so power goes to the power legs of a couple of LEDs, and then ground goes to the switch, which probably, yeah, goes to ground legs of LEDs and stuff. Look at this interesting pattern. So you got, you know, 5 little LEDs that are going to be hooked on here, and judging by how close together the legs are, and the fact that we have a bunch of these little tiny LEDs, that's probably where those are going. Cool. Are you tired of me squinting at my screen yet? So here we have the 3 LilyPad NeoPixel board thingies. So these are programmable RGB LEDs. Yeah, let's actually go into that for a second. Regular LED, what are the, yeah, here's a big RGB one. So this guy is an RGB LED where you hook up, I can't tell if this is common cathode or common anode, does it say? Doesn't say. But I'm sure there'll be instructions somewhere that tell us. So you got 3 pins, for like one for R, one for G, and one for B, and then you apply either power or ground to the other one to make it go, and then you just switch them off individually as separate pins. The cool thing about NeoPixels is it allows you to get any combination of colors. Oh, and of course with this one, you know, if you switch on red and green at the same time, you're going to get yellow, red and blue, you're going to get purple, green and blue, you're going to get cyan. Then this guy, let's rip one open. This guy, has only 3 inputs for power, data, and ground. Even though it's got 6 legs here. I think that's just because it wants, yeah, it can go out as well to the next pixel. And so there's 1 data pin that you send information to in order to make it turn on different parts of the LED, which are all inside the same package here. Let me get you a little better zoom. And what this means is that if you just apply power to this, power and ground on the pins, it'll flash for a moment, but then it won't do anything. It'll just turn off because it's the data pin that makes it do stuff. At the same time, though, it's smaller, it's more controllable, and you only need one data pin to control it. So you send it code over that one pin, and that does all the hard work for you. And there's all these different colors defined that you can give it. Cool. So we got 3 of those. HackerBoxes, hack the planet. That's cool. Your standard classic quotation from Hackers the movie. I think this is just like a cute little badge that you can wear. Where do you put the pins? All these have like little, it's a bunch of badges, right? But I don't know where you are gonna attach the lapel pins yet. We'll figure that out, I'm sure. We've got spots for transistors, which we have in our little bag here. Probably NPN transistors, which means that they're normally off until you apply power through them, and they let power flow through them. And then you've got spots for switches, spots for LEDs. Anything else? Resistors. Not sure what this guy is. Maybe a jumper? Or I see some capacitors in this as well, which implies that one of these things is going to use them. How many of these tiny chips do we have? There's at least 2. I don't know. You can also use a 555 timer to create different PWM signals to send to LEDs to make them fade and stuff, which is cool. Oh yeah! And then we have a coin cell holder from the LilyPad kit, which is kind of cool. And this other little @tiny85 guy. Let's have a look. Yeah. So let's compare the two. So this is the programmer that lets you program a separate @tiny85 chip. I'm just going to slot one in there so you can see. That is indeed what it is. And of course, this has a divot on the side where pin 1 is going to be, and that's going to correspond to the little dot on here. Or sometimes a chip will have a divot as well, but basically it's going to go in here. Oh, and as usual, I probably have to straighten the legs on this guy a little bit so that they don't angle outwards. I usually just do that by bending it on the table to try and make sure all the legs are aligned. Alright, so line it up like so. Goes in easily. Et voila. So, okay, this is a programmer for @tiny85. And then this is a board that just has it built in. You can see that obviously this one's removable, this one's not. So you can take this, program any number of different chips. Actually, one fun thing I did with my bike lights is that they run on @tiny, but they take a socket, so you can swap out lighting patterns by swapping out the chip. And I just keep some of them with me in a little like Altoids tin. I love that system. It's very much more complex than it needs to be. I could just have a single chip with a button that switches modes, but I thought this was cooler and I was too lazy to program it the other way, so yeah, no, that's what you get. Well, that's what I get, I guess. Here's our other RGB LED. Yeah, and then we have just a little proto board, very nice, shiny. It doesn't have any connections already made. We can compare it, actually. Sweet, I have this on hand. Adafruit also sells these perma proto boards, which come in various sizes. I've seen a quarter-sized one as well, which is very cute. And like a breadboard, they are connected in the same way. So you have these rows of 5 that are connected, and then these rails for power and ground. And that makes it pretty easy to connect stuff up. But sometimes you want a little bit more freedom. Like, what if you have something that, like a chip, for example, that has, 8 separate legs, or something else that has them arranged in a pattern like this, where you can't get each of these into a separate row, right? Then you need something like this, where you can individually define where all the connections go, and they're not going to have any pre-existing connections to cramp your style. A little bit more freedom, a little less convenient depending on what you're doing. And then we have a couple of, these look like just regular JST battery connectors, which is like for what you would use to connect like a LiPo battery to your project. for rechargeables. Alright, awesome! I was not expecting to get a hat out of this, but I did. That's fantastic. There's a gnat here. It's really bothering me. 3 badges. We got the Hack the Planet one. Woo! We got the Deathy Skull HackerBox's branded one. And we've got this adorable little one that you can give to your sibling and make them very happy or something. Or you could wear it. There you go. You know, this would make a pretty sweet set of pins to wear to your next geeky meetup. Then we've got these. Yeah, cool. We've got the stickers. Oh, I guess maybe these go in the center. They do. Okay. So the stickers, yes, combine with this badge. Cool. And we've got this beautiful little programmer. I'm so happy about that. Yeah. And heat shrink. Always useful. Multiple colors and tiny sizes, which makes me so happy. Oh, they have no idea how happy they made me with this. I always lose heat shrink, which is bizarre because it comes in like huge packs, and I just squirrel them away somewhere like a squirrel, waiting for the long dark days when I will have nothing to do but stay inside and build projects. I long for that day. Yeah, and then this USB AVR programmer. Sweet! That's all very exciting, but you haven't seen me build anything yet. Actually, let's try assembling one of these things. Why not? 639. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow and assemble like 1 or 3 of these. And so be sure to tune back in. You can find us on Twitch. You can find us on youtube.com looking for Hackster.io. And you can find us on Facebook looking for the same thing. Yeah, catch you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Thanks for watching.